I would like to welcome you all today. The IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the IMC Young Leaders Forum, in association with Hind College, presents the panel discussion on budget analysis. I would like to invite Shri Ashish Vaid, past President, IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and the first Chairman of IMC YLF, to make the welcome speech. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
So please unmute.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome each one of you to this interesting panel discussion on the budget analysis organized by the IMC's Young Leaders Forum jointly with Hind College Autonomous Accountancy Association. Union Budget 22-23, unveiled by the Finance Minister, has laid a blueprint of the country's economic journey over the next 25 years. The forward-looking budget provides a direction for the country's progress in the future and is laced with welfare orientation. The budget highlights the progressive vision for rapid infrastructure development through the Gati Shakti program that has the potential to create millions of jobs, create world-class facilities for easy mobility of people and goods, and reduces the overall transportation costs. A multi-modal approach encompassing railways, roads, ports, and so on is envisaged. When implemented well, Gati Shakti will enhance the ease of doing business and create potentials to attract foreign direct investments in our country. MSMEs are likely to benefit from the extension of the ECLGS by 1 year till March 2023. Financial institution has received a boost with the proposal to bring 100% of 150,000 post offices into the core banking system, delivering immense benefits to the rural population. We are glad that finally the economists and businessmen are not giving that much importance to the fiscal deficit. As long as the economy grows and inflation is reasonable under control with the productive expenditure, we can live with this deficit. This budget has made specific suggestions for spurring demand and investment in the economy, which in turn would lead to greater job creation. We need to move to a virtuous cycle of growth where sustained demand leads to higher consumption. The consequent higher capacity utilization leads to capital investment, which in turn leads to job creation and more demand. I truly believe it's a welfare-oriented, forward-looking budget. In order to discuss in length, we have lined up excellent speakers who would share their insights, and I'm sure will benefit all our participants this morning. I would like to welcome CA Asta Dovan, partner NA Shah Associates, CA Harshal Bhuta, partner PR Bhuta and Company, CA Kunjal Parekh, proprietor KC Parekh and Company, CA Shardul Shah, partner ME Shah and Company, and CA Santosh Ghag, proprietor Santosh G. Ghag and Company, and HOD Accountancy in Hind College. Before I conclude, let me tell you a brief about the IMC. The IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry is a premier chamber of commerce in the country with a rich legacy spanning well over 100 years of excellent service to trade, commerce, and industry. With its membership base of over 5,000 members and over 150 trade associations affiliated to it, the chamber represents and advocates the interest of over 400,000 business and industry organizations across the country from diverse sectors. Through its various expert committees, IMC provides policy inputs for the government, both central and state, and is continually engaged in interaction with policymakers at various levels. The chamber is now a cradle for nurturing young talent and promoting emancipation of women through Young Leaders Forum and Ladies Wing, which have been embodiments of youth, enterprise, positivism, proactive thoughts, leadership, and movement for women empowerment and entrepreneurship. The theme for the year is Engaging Maharashtra and Building India. I once again welcome all of you to this exclusive discussion. I would like to thank Dr. Ashok Wadia, Principal Hind College, for providing this platform to interact with students. Have a great day filled with learning and knowledge. And I'm really proud to see that we have over 300 participants already logged in on a Saturday morning, showing the enthusiasm for learning. Wish you all the best and good luck for today. Over to you, Dr. Vadia.
Thank you, sir. So nice to see you here. I'm so happy that we have this kind of collaboration because my association with IMC is also the long one, particularly as a quality RBNQ, and then as a member. At the same time, we are also now going with the another activity which the different courses which um, IMC is bringing for the education purpose. So IMC is normally people have that idea that they are only the business people and only look after the business. But I must say that IMC are the business people who make their business to serve to the society. And we are glad that Jain College with the same kind of, ideas and want to go ahead and to give back to the society. Because Jain College itself was established in 1948, the journey with the independence, which is by the people who had come from the Karachi. So all the people, the refugees, they came here, and normally they are Sindhis, so people think that only business, but they didn't make the business out of the education, but they made their own business to give the education to the society, and that is what the Jai Hind is. And we are all much on the same road, I will say, in the vicinity, and we have got the same aim to serve the society, and that is how we have come together. So looking forward to this particular kind of interactions and going ahead. I'm also glad to see that we are talking about the budget, because whenever the budget is declared, people have always the mixed reactions. And sir, you try to clear it, like say how it will be beneficial. But to decipher this particular budget, to make it everyone understand, and particularly the students, and that is also coming from all the chartered accountants, which one side they look after the business part of it, how to save that, and the other part now they are going to talk about it, how it is going to be beneficial to everyone. So I'm looking forward for this particular kind of discussion. I'm sure that there's a lot to gain from here, and people will have more clarity, and we will have the roadmap after the pandemic, particularly the economy which has gone down, and under such circumstances we need the path and the timeline also to revive ourselves and to come back in the forefront, because India was looked at one time that it will be the leading country where the economics is concerned, but the setback should not be setback. I think we should look at it as a not just a hurdle, but any kind of difficulties as opportunities for us to overcome that. And I'm sure that today's panel discussion will guide it. And I'm also happy to see the NHR people are there, and we are very strongly associated with them. Not that the others not, but I'm glad. And this kind of initiative is bringing the education and the industry together. The gap between the industry and the education must be closed, or we have to overcome that. And this kind of initiative by the IMC and Jain coming together is wonderful. So I will not waste time, because all of us are here to listen to what is this panel discussion is going to give us. So thank you very much for this kind of association. And so we will definitely be having more such associations where Jain is concerned. We are just close by anytime. Rather, Monday I will be visiting IMC, and so we can develop more such kind of activities for the society at large. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much for your kind words. I'd like to now invite Professor Fatima Fanuswala from Jai Hind College to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am here on behalf of Accountancy Association to express my sincere gratitude to IMC, to all the team of IMC for organizing this event together with us today. Mr. Juzar Khorakiwala, the President of IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Anand Singhania, Vice President of IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Sanjay Mehta, Deputy Director General, Ms. Sheetal Kalro, Deputy Director General, Ms. Vidhi Joshi, Chairman of IMC Young Leaders Forum, Mr. Shardul Shah, Co-Chairman of IMC Young Leaders Forum, Ms. Anita Nayak, the Officer in charge of IMC. I would also like to thank our principal, Dr. Ashok Wadia sir, for his support for today's session. I am grateful to all the vice principals, academic heads, and IQAC coordinators of Hind College for their constant motivation and support. A big thank you to all the faculty members and students present here today for making this event fruitful. And last but not the least, my heartfelt and sincere thanks to the core committee members of Accountancy Association, all the students and the faculty members involved, Mr. Santosh Ghag, the chairman of Accountancy Association, and Professor Reshma Jaisinghani, the convener of today's event, without whose presence and support this event would not have been possible. Thank you so much, all of you. I hope you all enjoy today's event.
Thank you so much. I would now have the privilege to introduce our panel for today, the experts for the very best. We're extremely happy to have with us CA Harshal Bhuta, partner PR Bhuta & Co. Harshal is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and he is a partner with PR Bhuta & Co, Chartered Accountants Mumbai, which is a boutique firm known for providing Indian foreign exchange law consultancy and Indian taxation consultancy services, along with a focus on non-resident Indians and foreign national-centric regulatory services in India. He has over 13 years of work experience, and his areas of specialization include international taxation, transfer pricing, Indian foreign exchange regulation, and business valuation. Along with co-partners, Harshal has made various representations from the firm to the CBDT, Central Board of Direct Taxes, Ministry of Finance, Government of India, towards suggestions for improvement of draft legislations. Also extremely happy to have with us CA Astha Dhawan, partner NA Shah Associates. Astha holds more than 18 years of experience as a chartered accountant, with her areas of expertise being direct tax, compliance and litigation, direct tax advisory, both domestic and cross-border, and transfer pricing, advisory, compliance and litigation. She has recently obtained her LLB from the Government Law College to hone her litigation skills. She interacts with clients in various fields such as advertising in media, pharma, shipping, FMCG, and believes it's the diversity which contributes to one's experience in ways which are not measurable. Also delighted to have with us CA Kunjal Parekh. Kunjal Parekh is a practicing chartered accountant with more than 12 years of experience. Her areas of expertise being tax compliance, advisory and auditing. She's an alumni of HR College of Commerce and has completed her articleship from SV Gatalia and Associates. And she has also taught briefly service tax at Hind College. Also privileged to have with us CA Shardul Shah, partner MA Shah and Company. Shardul is an LLB from the University of Mumbai and has completed his PhD on the topic of royalties and FST. He has been a regional council member of WIRC of ICAI for 3 terms and is the chairman of the Finance and Tender Committee of the Mumbai Cricket Association. He is also the secretary of the Indo-American Society and co-chairman of the Young Leaders Forum of the IMC. And also very, very privileged to have this particular panel moderated by Shri Santosh Ghag. Santosh sir needs no introduction. He's a senior CA with 30 years of experience in practice. Also a director with Apna Sahkari Bank, a multi-state scheduled cooperative bank. He's also the treasurer, Maratha Mandir, which runs 12 schools and colleges, management colleges, hospitals, and theaters. He's also a trustee of the Bal Vikas Vidya Mandir, a 60-year-old plus educational institution. Life member of Bombay Chartered Accountants Society, the Indian Accounting Association, Matru Mandir, and many, many more. He is also the recipient of the prestigious Samaj Gaurav Puraskar. Thank you so much, sir, for this opportunity for all of us. And I'd like to hand it over to you to moderate the event ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vidhi ma'am. So, good morning to everyone, especially to IMC dignitaries, the principals, faculties, and students from all the colleges, including my own Hind College. This is the first initiative in collaboration with IMC, but of course it is first and just the beginning of a big partnership between Hind College and IMC, which are one of the most prestigious institutions. And I'm sure this partnership will go on for a long, serving the interest of the students, teachers, and the society. Now it's a time for actual technical discussions. We had the beginning, and we are eagerly waiting for that panel discussion on budget analysis. I welcome all the respectable panelists. Their introduction has already happened. Fatima, Vidya Madam has already introduced them. But it was a brief discussion, I'm very sure, and you will agree with me. They are much bigger than what they have been described about. And I'm privileged to be in the midst of the galaxy of all these shining stars. Now, some important announcement before we actually start the panel discussion. The participants will be issued certificates on the basis of the feedbacks. So, humble request to everyone to kindly submit the online feedback box, all the participants. Now, so far as the Hind students are concerned, they have got an additional activity which they always like to have. They have to submit a short report on the budget session today, the panel discussion today. That will be less than 150 words. There are two things that they have to do. One is the gist of the views of the panelists on the budget and your own views on the budget, because you may not agree with what views have been expressed by the panelists, ours is the democracy. So you will be giving two things. One is the gist of the panelists on the budget, and second is your own views. And everything should be less than 150 words. The link will be given in the chat box. So that will be towards the end of the discussion. So you see that you will be giving the feedbacks. And after that, there will be a question answer session immediately after panel discussion. So I request all the participants to put your questions through the chat box. And I request Prachi Madam and Pratishtha Madam to keep important questions ready for the Q&A session. Now, the structure of the discussion, normally we have three-tier discussion. Is one, there will be a talk from all the speakers, each speaker. Second, there will be questions from the moderator. And the third is the questions from the participants. But we have changed a bit because, in fact, this program was supposed to be there on Monday, the 7th of this month. But we know we lost a legendary singer, Melody Queen Lata Mangeshkar, Bharat Ratna Lata Mangeshkar. So that day was dedicated for her mourning. So we had to postpone the event and we could not have it the next day because of the availability of all the speakers. So we are having it today. So we are on 12th. That means 11 days have already passed after the budget was tabled in the parliament. So a lot of discussion has already happened. That's why now we are not going ahead with the talks from the speakers, but now it will be two-tier. I, as a moderator, will be posing questions to them. They will be answering. And second will be the questions from the participants that will be interviewed. Now, what will be the points? Of course, there are lots of questions. When we say budget is right from the household budget till the union budget, and union budget is the extreme ultimate thing that everybody in India keeps on waiting for. Now, we have got lots of questions. They may be on capital market, disinvestment, or you can say divestments, cryptos. We call it as crypto currencies or digital assets. You have to decide now. Foreign dividends, startups, economic service, GDP, railways, government capex, education, gift city, SEZ, that is sales, gems and jewelry, fiscal deficit, FRBM, income tax, rectification of returns, capital gains. So these are the questions which I thought that you will be having, but of course you will be having many more questions in your mind, which will be putting through the chat box to the speakers. So we now, of course, we'll be going through the, you will be having very absorbing session. I'm very sure there will be lots of takeaways. You will all enjoy. It will be a very crisp program. All the participants, there are some 350 plus participants who have already joined. All the speakers will be, and they are from different colleges. I'm thanking all the colleges, their principals, their faculties for giving such a big response. So I will be asking the questions to each of the panelists, and then we'll go to the second likewise. So we are having 4 rounds of the questions answers from my side. So first I'll go to CA Harshal Bhuta, and that's on the impact of the capital markets. Now, Mr. CA Harshal Bhuta, how has the market received the budget? Now 11 days have passed since the budget was tabled in the parliament. So what's your take on the receiving of the budget by the people of the citizen or of the citizen?
Yes. Yes, thank you, Santoshi. So I agree that a lot of time has passed since the budget, and the initial euphoria which follows the budget announcement. So that is the time period when you can actually gauge the budget reactions, because then the fundamentals of the world events and everything takes over, and then the market takes a different turn. So therefore, in the initial week that passed after the budget announcement, the market was really high. Why? Because obviously there was a lot of capex announcement that was made, and a huge capex outlay. At the same time, it led to a higher fiscal deficit. So therefore, higher borrowing. So therefore, the bond yields were high at that point in time, but that did not stop the market from reaching greater heights. So the verdict is really out there. How the budget was perceived by the market. It was well received by the market.
Yeah, because there was a lot of volatility in the market. We have seen ups and downs.
Yes.
So yeah, you perfectly answered that. Thank you very much, CA Harshal. Now the next question goes to CA Asta Dovan. It's on economic survey. How has COVID-19 impacted the Indian economy? Because the COVID has impacted the entire world, of course, adversely, except few like pharmaceuticals and you can say IT industry, but rest of the world has been really impacted very badly. It has come after 100 plus years. So what is your take on the impact of COVID-19 on the Indian economy?
Santosh ji, when now so far as whether COVID is done impacting economies, no one can really tell, because every few months we have a new variant. So the impact of how long it will go on is still an unknown. Now, having said that, what I would like to add is that India has done an incredible job of vaccinating its population, and that is going to be a strong positive. Now, further, based on the data presented in the economic survey, it can be seen that the impact of each wave on the economy has been reducing consecutively. So in the first lockdown, the economy was severely impacted. There was no forewarning. Businesses were caught without a contingency plan. The lockdown was also very severe. In 2019, the growth in GDP was around 6.5%. 2020 was negative 7.2% due to the COVID impact. Now, the second wave hit in the beginning of FY22. However, what we are seeing is that the economy is being very resilient and having a V-shaped recovery with a 9.2% growth. The Omicron wave's impact was even shorter. So, so that's great. And now if I just see the impact of COVID on the economy in total, I'll just put it in two buckets. One is that the loss of growth. So basically we were a $230 trillion economy at the end of 2019. We are going to be similar size at 2022. So basically we've lost 2 years of growth due to COVID. And I believe this is a permanent loss. And the second part is that the government had to fund the entire vaccination and the entire process to put India back on the growth path, which has probably had us increase our debt by about 30 to 40 lakh crores. So that is that's how I see the two impacts of COVID.
Very good analysis. And in fact, and just to add as a positive is now most of the people have got IT literate. Now, in fact, one thing is bad that we are not seeing face to face. We are online right now also. But at the same time, what was not done online before, like our principal Wadia sir says, that what we were to do 5 years later, now we are actually right now doing right now. So I think that could be one of the positive impact. Thank you very much, CA Asta Dovan. So now the next question, CA Kunjal Parekh, our own Kunjal Parekh, I can say, from Hind. So the question is on education. The current reforms in union budget and its impact on higher education and the students who are losing out on in-person learning. Now, whether it is losing out or it's one can say it's a 50% empty, 50% filled in, whatever. So your take on that. So I repeat the question: current reforms in union budget and its impact on higher education and the students who are losing out on in-person learning. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Firstly, it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much, sir, for your question. Firstly, sir, the pandemic has exposed, this total digital divide, and it's a very vast divide. And suddenly, the importance of, the visual learning environments have come into play. Also, what earlier we would not accept, the remote learning was not accepted widely. Now it has become a norm. Now without it, we are helpless. I also have a daughter, so I know how the students have, the learning has impacted from offline to online and online to offline. The whole, the spectrum of education has changed. The way we study, the way we look at it has absolutely changed. Due to the protocols and due to the pandemic, due to the lockdowns, now remote learning has come into the picture. Also, the importance of technology has not only come into the picture but has become very important. All of us have become experts at it, if we may say so.
Yes.
The in the budget, they have said one of the most important thing is the digital ecosystem for skilling and livelihood. They have proposed that. Also, the national skill qualification framework, they are aligning this with the industry needs. Now, the budget is not only looking at the current situation, it is a blueprint for the next 25 years. So it is from 75, India at 75 to India at 100. So yes, there has been a lack of, losing out on the human touch, the extracurricular activities, the interactions we have with our teachers and our, our peers, that has been lost. But we have also gained. So I think the government is doing, thinking way ahead, of their time, and getting us closer and closer to, the near future, and making these visual learning environments more acceptable, which were unrecognized earlier. Now they are being recognized. And I think they're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, that's very good. Fantastic from CA Kunjal Parekh. You covered both the sides of the point. So with that, now we go to the next panelist, CA Shardul Shah. In fact, Vidya Madam also already said that in fact, our Hind College is already associated with IMC, both the prestigious institutions, for a very long time. Our principal, Dr. Wadia sir himself, he said that he's already connected, associated in person. But at the same time, our trustees, Nani Krupani sir, Gul Krupani sir, they were the presidents of IMC. So that was already there, the partnership was already going. But recently, the person who brought IMC and Hind College together back again is C. Shardul Shah. He's one of the best friends of mine. So now the question goes to him. Sir, Shardul sir, how has the finance minister managed the fiscal deficit? Everybody's question.
Good morning.
How has the finance minister managed the fiscal deficit?
So good morning to the principal of the most esteemed Hind College, respected IMC president in absentia, respected all the executive committee members of IMC and all the office bearers of Hind College. Sir, thank you so much for your kind words. And believe me, sir, there can never be a better association of IMC than a very prestigious Hind College. Sir, I can only be thankful to you, sir. It is only because of your guidance, your support, sir, that the IMC has been able to associate itself with Hind College. And I can only assure you, sir, in times to come, Hind College will be much more enriched with this relationship with IMC. IMC brings a very, very, great background, and under the leadership of Vidhi, sir, this YLF is reached another level altogether. So once again, thanks to you, sir, and thanks to all the staff and all the students of Hind College who have been present here today for this unique budget interactive session. I would also like to thank all the panel members. Sir Harshil, Astha, as well as Kunjan are very, very prolific speakers. And one day we can have a session by itself. Sir, thanks once again to all the panel members.
Sir, that's why I say it is a galaxy of shining stars.
Thank you, sir. Sir, coming to the subject and coming to the question of the deliberation in the panel discussion, sir, as you know, the Union Finance Minister, this was her fourth budget, sir, and she has taken a very courageous step during the budget. And this budget probably is a unique budget because although we have 5 state elections around the corner, the finance minister has not done anything to tinker around with any extra expenditure. She has thought of giving a very futuristic budget, sir, and she talks about the Amrit Kal. That is how India is currently in the 70 years of independence and how we are going to march forward towards 100 years. And the focus is completely, sir, on growth, and it's an all-inclusive welfare, promoting technology, enabling development, energy transition, and also addressing a lot of climate change issues. Sir, the finance minister talked about PM Gati Shakti, inclusive development and production. The most important focus of this year's budget, sir, was towards public investments, and the outlay is more than 35.4%. The increase is to an extent of 7.5 lakh crore, an increase from the earlier year of 5 lakh crore. Sir, this outlay is a 2.9% increase of GDP. Effective capital expenditure of the central government is now estimated at 10.6 lakh crore, which is 4.1% of the GDP. So what we are seeing is, sir, so much expenditure is going to be incurred towards capex that yes, there will be an impact on the revenues of the government, but the finance minister has promised that the fiscal deficit will be at 6.4% of the GDP in the next year, and she is moving towards 4.5% of GDP fiscal deficit in the year 25. So we have definitely constrained where the expenditures are increasing, but this expenditure, what is going to be spent, is only for the capital expenditure, and hence we will see that over a period of time, the government of India wants to ensure that this is a progressive in nature and this does not lead to direct inflation. So the finance minister has ensured that the fiscal deficit remains on track of 6.4%, and we are moving towards a target of 4.5%. Sir, you will also remember that the government of India is also accountable for the figures presented in every year's budget. So budget to budget also, the government of India is responsible. And we have the FRBM Act, which is a Fiscal Responsibility Budget Management Act, which looks after ensuring that every figure presented at the budget, the government of India is also accountable to those numbers. So also, hence this budget, the finance minister is taking care of the same. Sir, these were my views on the fiscal deficit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shardul sir. But do you think that means, some people are saying, of course, oppositions and people in power always are in contrast. But then many people were expecting some deductions to go up, the taxation to come down. One. At the same time, some people say it's a futuristic budget, maybe at the pinch of presence. So do you think the finance minister has done justice in having this budget? Or the fiscal deficit also included?
Then you are absolutely correct. And the finance minister has a very delicate role to play. And in times to come, sir, I think what they are really banking on is disinvestments. Sir, in the year to come, if you see, the biggest disinvestment is going to be of LIC. And I personally feel this is going to be a roadmap for the future. Sir, the LIC disinvestment itself will fetch the government around 60,000 crore. And this is an approximate figure. And in times to come, sir, the government of India will have various disinvestment, for example, BPCL, for example, various other companies. And as you rightly mentioned, this is a very delicate role to be played by the finance minister.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. In fact, this will, I think, put at the rest the query that people have got. Now, you are talking about disinvestment. So, taking that, now the question will be on disinvestment to C. Harshad Bhuta. I'm sorry, C. Harshad Bhuta. So it is on disinvestment, or you can say divestment. Why does the government of India go for disinvestment, and especially for a golden jewel like LIC just now, the case which Shardul sir mentioned? So why does the government of India go for disinvestment, especially for a golden jewel like LIC? That's one. And is there a difference between disinvestment or divestment and the privatization?
Yes, yes.
Harshal.
Yes, sir. So I will take your second question first. So is there really a difference between, divestment and privatization? Really not. Both are similar in terms. Privatization meaning that, government is really losing control. Something that happened in case of Air India is that government, wanted to divest to the extent of 100%. It didn't want, to retain any shareholding, any control over the entity. So that was total privatization. Divestment could be to a varying percentages depending upon the circumstances. Like coming to your first question, that why does the government really kill the let the golden jewel die a certain death? So this is I think a very common question in everyone's mind, that why do you kill a golden goose who lays eggs to the government? So we have seen that in times of budget deficit, the budget deficit is typically financed by a lot of dividends coming from the PSUs, and LIC has been one of the companies that has been paying handsome dividends to the government in times of need. So why do divestment of LIC after all? So let us try to understand the concept of divestment. Why any government would go for divestment? So the answer is very natural. So once you nurture a particular company and bring it to a certain level, you would always want to monetize the investment. And why would you want to do that? You would want to do that because the money, the proceeds that you can get from divestment, you can channelize them back into the country, back into the infrastructure development. And that is the primary economic reason for going for divestment. So as Shardul Bhai rightly mentioned, so the LIC divestment that is proposed to come up is basically going to be one of the largest in the history of the country. Yesterday itself, we have come to know from news press reports that, in Jan itself, there were 34 lakh Demat accounts opened, and primarily those were for the policy holders. And LIC is going to give, around 5% discount also to the policy holders. And rightly so, the country should participate in the public sector enterprises.
That's a good news for all the policy holders.
Yes. That's a very good positive. The country should participate directly in the PSUs rather than through the government. So that is also one of the ways where, the government will enable the citizens of the country to participate in the economic progress of the country. So yeah, that is it.
Yeah, thank you very much. So because LIC is one thing. Now we talked about Maharaja, the Air India, but Air India people say it was in loss, but this was doing very good profit, and still this step has been taken. That's why people had this question. So with that, now I go to the next participant. I'm sorry, the speaker, CA Asta Dhawan. Okay, your question is, madam, your question is GDP and the capex, the capital expenditure by the government of India. That's the question. The question is the budget going to put India back on the trajectory of becoming a $5 trillion economy? Just now, Shardul was talking about 2.3 and all. So now, but of course, the dream is $5 trillion economy. So are we going ahead with that?
Sure, sir. I don't see India becoming a $5 trillion economy before 2030 post the COVID impact, which means there are going to be multiple budgets by multiple governments between now and then. Now, the focus of each subsequent budget will have to be, like how Shardul said, to develop the infrastructure while being fiscally prudent, both of which I think this current budget has tried to do. Like there were no populist measures despite so many states going into election. Now, as I mentioned earlier, 2 years we've already lost due to 2 years of growth. We've already lost due to COVID. But if we continue to grow at 6 to 7% of GDP, we'll become the third largest economy after US and China in the next 8 to 10 years. Now, current budget, of course, there is a lot of spending on capital expenditure from about 5.5 trillion, which was the earlier year. We have increased it by 35% to 7.5 trillion this year. So that's a great sign, which means we are investing in our future, and this will eventually reap benefits. The only concern I would have would be the rising interest payments. So based on the government's forecast for 2023, about 40% of government's total receipts are going to go towards servicing this interest for stick expenses like cost of administration, defense subsidies, and the government will have to work hard to ensure that they continue to put out growth-oriented budgets year after year. So whether we are back on trajectory, yes, but due to the loss of 2 years to COVID with a slightly adjusted timeline.
So thank you, Sri Asta. Aapke ghumi mein vishak. Because when FM was asked on the day of budget, people were expecting lots of deductions. So are you not changing those things? So she said, I think you may be hearing her, that you must realize that I have not increased the rates of taxes. Because in fact, there is a logic in what she said. Of course, we may be pro or against, but their logic is normally when there is some natural calamity like this, normally there is some cess or some increase in charge, because whatever we have lost is made through the people only. Who contributed the government of India is we people only, and that is taken in form of taxes. So people were expecting some deductions to go up and taxes to go down, but at the same time, it was also expected from the experts that there may be some increase in taxes. So they were maintained, and you are rightly put it. Thank you very much. So now next we go to now Ms. CA Kunjal Parekh, your next question. Healthcare. What does the digitization in the healthcare sector and its recent reforms by the government mean for the people of India? I repeat the question. What does the digitization in the healthcare sector and its recent reforms by the government mean for the people of India? Kunjal Parekh, ma'am. Madam, you're unmute.
Yes.
Yeah.
So firstly, there are two major reforms in healthcare this time by in the finance minister. They have decided to spend or propose to spend around 41,000 crores on health in the healthcare sector. The first reform they've come up with is the National Digital Health Ecosystem. And the second one, which is also very important, the National Mental Health Program. So the National Digital Health Ecosystem is basically, it is an open platform where all the there will be digital registries from health providers and what health facilities they are providing, and everything, all the details will be on that health platform. Each citizen or each user of this platform will have a unique ID, which is very, very important. Also, there will be it's a consent framework. So there is a consent to be given for that. Also, this will facilitate a lot of access to healthcare facilities over semi-rural, urban, rural places where it's difficult to physically be there, and yet provide these kind of facilities over, around the whole spectrum. The second thing is the National Mental Health Program, which is basically mental health has a lot of stigma around it, as we all know. So this is the way of government normalizing it as well, which is very, very commendable. Also, this will be, they will be providing a lot of these, programs. They will be launching 23 telemental health centers around, for excellence, providing, which will be supported from Bangalore. They will get the support from the IIT Bangalore. So that is another very, very important. So I think the government is doing a lot of good work in the healthcare sector. Thank you.
So that means we can say that this pandemic has triggered the wellness in the wellness sector. Thank you.
Yes.
So I think the people must be very happy with your answer. Thank you very much. So now with that, I go to Shardul sir. Shardul sir, it's your next question. How has the FM proposed to rectify the income tax? This is one of the best questions these days. Shardul sir, the question is to you. How has the FM, the Finance Minister, proposed to rectify the income tax returns? Sir, you are mute. We had rectifications in assessment order, but now we are talking about income tax returns rectification. Yeah, and 154 section, I think. Yeah, which was there earlier. Shardul sir is coming. Yeah, please, sir.
Yeah. Sir, what is happening is a lot of people inadvertently, miss out to file their income tax return. And these taxpayers are required to file their income tax return every year. However, due to either lack of financial awareness or complex nature of the forms, a lot of people are vulnerable to making some errors. Now, the Union Finance Minister, has come out with a breather for the taxpayers. The government has increased the duration to file an updated return. This is a new concept, a new updated return from 3 months to 2 years from the end of the relevant financial year. So it is a very, very positive step, friends.
Yeah.
That the taxpayer should now bear in mind that they should have a price to pay for the omission of the errors in the form of an additional tax. One of the most common mistakes that all the people make while filing the return is failing to include bank interest, believing that the bank interest is not taxable or that or TDS is already deducted. This is a common error in not even reporting. Sometimes rental income is not declared. Irrespective of the amount, friends, these mistakes could lead to one of the lengthy process of adjudication and 50% or more fine could be levied. But now what the new budget 2022 talks about, that rectification of errors can be made within 2 years. This option of filing a belated return was really required, given that the short period of time available for revising the revising the return of income. Yeah, so what has happened now? But friends, there is an additional tax. Now you will have to pay an additional tax of 25% for the 12 months or 50% additional tax. That is differential tax along with interest depending upon the delay. As I told you, for example,
I think Shardul sir, that is the distinctive point, because we had revised return process earlier also. But now the change which has come is, I think, this one, that you have to pay additional tax.
Sure, sir. So this is a very, very positive step, sir. In case you have failed to file the return, but please remember, friends, that there has to be some additional tax payable. Only if there is an additional tax payable, you can do an updated return, as they call it. But I would say a positive step, because but the only negative is you need to pay additional 25%, and also for the first year of failing to file return. And in case you want to file it in the third year, then it is 50% additional tax. So this is the negative catch.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. So now with that, now we go back to C. Harshal Puta. That's on crypto. Should I say crypto investment or a digital asset or rupee? Digital rupee I cannot say, but still on crypto. That's why I'm saying crypto investments. So are crypto investments legitimized, since they are now become taxable? So because sometimes when something gets taxable, we think it is legitimized. So is it going to be legitimized? One thing. Secondly, how are crypto investments different from the proposed digital rupee proposed by the RBI?
Yes, sir, sure. So I'll take your first question. I think that has been a question in the minds of everyone.
Absolutely.
And despite
it's a buzz question.
Yes. And despite repeated clarifications from various corners, I think that question still remains. In fact, the FM has clarified, the Revenue Secretary has clarified that the taxation on crypto is irrespective of the legality. So let me take you back to some history. So there have been judgments from 1970s and even under the old Income Tax Act. So
yes.
the famous judgment of Delhi High Court in CIT versus Sharma, that was in 1979, right? Specifically told that the Income Tax Department of the Revenue is not concerned with the taint of illegality of the income per se, or the source also. So it may be
and also I remember that PRA Singh case where illegal income was taxed.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, there has been certain jurisprudence in this regard, which states that irrespective of the legality of the income, that can be taxed without going into, whether the income should be taxed or not. The government, the CBDT has the power to tax it, and that has been established very well. So I think that should answer the question, and that should put to rest any controversy that, since the government has actually taxed crypto, is it legal to invest? Is it not legal to invest? So I think another angle to it is that investment in India per se is legal. That is pursuant to the Supreme Court judgment in the IMAI's case, wherein it put aside the RBI circular that had actually barred the market participants, or probably the VC exchanges from transacting with the banks. So therefore, their lifeline was essentially choked, because the banks were barred from transacting with them. They were not allowed to lend their facilities to these VC exchanges. So therefore, they went to the Supreme Court for challenging the RBI circular, and the Supreme Court eventually put down the RBI circular, stating that it is disproportionate. There are certain risks in the system, but that does not justify you from stopping the entire banking ecosystem from providing services to all these VC exchanges. So since then till today, investment in crypto is legal as on today. There has been 2 occasions where certain bills were pending for introduction in the Lok Sabha, but eventually those bills were never introduced. So why? Because the government is still in deliberations, what to do, what not to do. Should we legalize? Should we bring in a bill to ban or not? But as per the title to those bills, it seems that all private cryptocurrencies were to be banned. Now coming to the question, I saw a question in the chat also, that what is going to happen to the cryptos that I would be holding in my wallet now that it is taxed. So the simple answer is, if in the future there is certain bill that is going to be introduced that will ban private crypto, then irrespective of whether there is taxation or not, it really does not matter. It is going to be banned, so you will not be able to transact it. Yes.
Sir, this was the mute question, because on the day of budget also, FM very categorically said that although we have taxed, that doesn't mean it is legalized. But at the same time, what people think that since this one step that they have gone one step ahead this time, next time they will go to the second step. So that's what people were having in mind. That's why I put this question as a representative question.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
No, absolutely, sir, absolutely. So I think that clarifies whether investments in crypto are legal or not. Coming to the second part of your question, so your question basically dealt with what is the difference between digital rupee and crypto. So there are lots of differences per se, but the most important one is that digital rupee will be treated as legal tender. It will have government backing, versus crypto will never have government backing, as far as at least developed economies, or even narrowing down the definition, India is concerned. The differentiations will continue, that typically crypto is decentralized, but when you transact through a virtual currency exchange, it again loses the decentralization characteristic which is there. But in any case, cryptos are based on the blockchain technology. Digital rupee, RBI is still contemplating whether to go for blockchain technology or any other technology, given the energy consumption concerns that are there. Yesterday or day before yesterday itself, we saw that the RBI governor putting out a comment that they have not stated or decided on a timeline when it is going to be introduced. First, they will try to probably see in a sandbox kind of environment, in a wholesale to wholesale basis, how is digital rupee actually working out, and thereafter they will lay it out open for the general public and general citizens of the country.
Thank you, Harshal Gupta, sir. So in fact, FM the other day very categorically said that cryptos will be, for us, it will be digital asset and not currency. And rupee, the digital rupee that will be coming, that can be called as currency, but not the cryptos that we have got today. So that answers the question. Thank you very much, sir. Now the next question goes to C. Asta Dhovan. This is on startups. So all our students will like to become big entrepreneurs. The Shark Stars India has really brought this to the limelight. So the question is, how has the budget encouraged startups in India? Have they?
Santoshi, let me start by saying that entrepreneurs and their success are not really dependent on the budget sobs. And empirically, it can be seen that seen by the number of unicorns that India has been consistently producing since 2018. Take 21, for instance, it has been extraordinary with more than 40 unicorns being identified. And this is despite any budget. Now, the reason for this is that India has successfully created a strong ecosystem to support the startups, especially in cities like Bangalore, Gurgaon, Bombay, and Ahmedabad. And I also see this moving forward to smaller towns and regions. Now, this has allowed new businesses to have access to the right kind of talent pool, to the right experts, and to capital. What I'm also seeing is a paradigm shift in the mindset of the youth, who are, much more willing to take risk compared to the earlier generation. Now, let me give you a small case in point. A case in point. There are more than 60,000 startups in India, but I believe not more than 600 have opted for the tax break announced by the government, where they get the three-year holiday out of the 10-year period. Now, incidentally, this budget has extended this ability, their ability to opt for this tax break for another additional year. But to summarize, I don't see any significant changes in this budget for startups, except they have set up an expert committee to review the matters which are raised by this industry to ensure ease and compliance, which is a must for new businesses, and for capping the surcharge to 15% in case of long-term capital gains. This particularly will assist both the entrepreneurs and the startup investors by reducing the effective tax rate on capital gains by 4.5%, which is a reasonable amount. So yes, these are the two good parts.
Thank you very much, Astha Dhawan. Thank you very much. Now we go to CA Kunjal Parekh. Yes, another buzz question, GIFT City. Now on GIFT City, what are the new developments with regard to GIFT City? This first question, and how will it help the youth of the day vis-a-vis the community as a whole?
Thank you for your question, sir. Firstly, what is GIFT City? It is the Gujarat International Finance Tech City. It is set up at Gandhinagar in Gujarat. So basically, world-class universities and institutions will be allowed to be set up in the GIFT City and offer various courses in financial management, finance tech, fintech, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, free from the domestic, regulations, except that of the IFSC. IFSC is the International Finance Service Center. So there are these regulations only. They will be free from the domestic regulations. Also, they will provide, high-end human resources for financial services and technology. Also, the government is setting up the International Arbitration Center in the GIFT City for the timely settlement of disputes under the international jurisdiction. The same is in London and in Singapore. Also, services for global capital, sustainable and climate finance in the country will be facilitated in the GIFT City. So as looking at this, we will facilitate skilled manpower in the finance sector. Jai Hind, HR, all of us here, all these other colleges are from, we are also connected with the finance sector. So there is going to be a lot of job creation. The government has said in the budget in the Atmanirbhar Bharat to create 60 lakh jobs in the next 5 years. So this is a great opportunity, and I think it's, this is the benefit they are going to provide.
Thank you very much, Kunjal Parekh, ma'am. Now we go back to CA Harshil Shah. Now your next question is, can you please explain the changes in the surcharge, just now what was talked about, changes in the surcharge on long-term capital gains on various assets. Surcharge on long-term capital gains. Sir, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. So you can hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what the union budget has proposed, sir, the finance minister has given a big relief in this regards. The finance minister has given no relief as far as personal income tax slab is concerned, but as far as new age companies is concerned, for example, startups are concerned, etc. This budget has capped the surcharge at 15% on all long-term capital gains for all listed and unlisted, companies, especially.
Yes, sir. Yeah. You have to unmute yourself, sir.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
Now you can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, sir, this is expected to help all these investors in startups and also to reduce their overall cost of exit. Sir, earlier what used to happen, this, the surcharge on other assets, for example, paintings, on other kind of assets, the surcharge used to go all the way to 37%. And this 37% on, other long-term capital gains was a big hurdle for the people to trade or invest. Now they brought it at par with the normal equity shares or even equity mutual funds, that the maximum rate of surcharge as far as all kind of assets is concerned is 15%. So this is again a very, very positive step, and this will bring about a lot of I think excitement as far as startups, other investments are concerned, and it is a very positive step as far as the finance minister's proposal of the finance budget 2022 is concerned.
Thank you very much. In fact, whenever there is change, people think the tax is increased, but here it is that it is on the other side of it. The tax is capped. That means you will not be paying more than 15%. Maximum tax will be capped at 15%. Thank you very much, sir. So with that, now I go back to C. Harshal Bhuta. Your next question is dividend from foreign companies. Why did the government abolish the preferential tax rates on foreign dividends earned from the group of companies abroad?
Yes. Certainly, sir. I'll address that. Under the Income Tax Act, there was a certain section. So, in fact, there is, because the budget will come into effect from the next financial year. The section number is 115 BBD, whereunder if you are receiving dividend from a foreign company in which you have more than 26% shareholding, the foreign dividends are supposed to be taxed at a preferential rate of 15%. So why this provision was brought some years back? In order to improve the repatriation scenario. So a lot of money was not being repatriated to India by the subsidiary companies that were incorporated outside India. And the government at that point in time thought that, why not enable them to bring the money back to India? Because that will, at the end of the day, enable further private investment. Nobody is going to keep the money idle. Once you bring it back, you are going to channelize that into your into the economy. But now, as we have seen over the past 5 years, a lot of FDI has flowed into India. So roughly around $340 billion has flowed into India over the last 5 years as FDI. And day by day, the forex situation is improving. So then now, in fact, the government has, the recent thinking of the government is that, so the economy has benefited by the reduced taxation rate in the past. Now it is time to bring it back to at par with whatever tax rate is there for domestic dividend. So therefore, now, the dividend taxation will revert back to the full tax rate at which domestic dividends are taxed. So that's kind of the thinking why, that preferential regime is being phased out.
Okay, I think it is maybe like last year we got a scheme where we got two regimes of taxation. One was where investments were encouraged, and the other way investment you don't get any reduction, you get a flat reduction. That means people have got enough of funds with us now. The cost of money has come down, so funds are not much expected. So let us have a parity between the foreign investments and the domestic investments. That is the question people were having. Thank you very much for answering it exceedingly well. Thank you, sir. Now we go to CA Asta Dhuvan, ma'am. The next question. Yeah, Gati Shakti we were talking about. So Gati Shakti and rail logistics. So what is the PM's Gati Shakti initiative and what is its near future impact on India?
So if I
repeat the question for the participants. What is the PM Gati Shakti initiative and what is its near future impact on India?
So I'll just take 1 minute to explain the rail logistics part. In the sense, from pre-independence era to now, we had a lot of dependency on railway earlier. I mean, which has now moved to roads. So we are spending a lot of infrastructure on building roads, and this is a more expensive and time-consuming way. So I see a lot of movement towards dedicated freight corridors, which will enable faster and cheaper movement of goods, and that's why there is so much focus on rail logistics. Now, Gati Shakti initiative was launched in October 21 and is now fueled with a 1 trillion rupee allocation. So what is Gati Shakti? Just to put it for simplicity's sake, I'll just give a small example. I want to start a logistic park in, say, Aurangabad. So there are close to 50 different types of permissions I will require from different central and state governments. Now, by the time I manage to get these, there is a long time which is lost and the gestation period of the project is delayed significantly. Also, many a times one department of the government does not know what the other department is doing. So you may end up finalizing a land for power project and realize that a canal is planned by the water department there after a few years. So basically the government departments work in silos, and the Gati Shakti initiative is a national master plan that will bring 16 central government departments together on a portal which is built by ISRO. Now, this portal will continuously be updated so that various departments have sight on what the other departments are planning. And the government also plans to help investor partners by making the permission process faster and more seamless. So basically, this is going to give government a bird's eye view on infrastructure and transport developments. Now, that said, infrastructure expenditure almost always yields results in medium to long term. So what happens in short term? So the present budget has allocated 20,000 crores as its first outlay in 22-23. But the smooth start of this plan will enable infrastructure partners and private players who want to invest in infrastructures to plan their investments efficiently. So that's what I see as a short-term effect of Gati Shakti.
Thank you. So can we say Gati Shakti means the pace is the power to accelerate the progress of India?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So now we go to CA Kunjal Parekh, ma'am. It's on gems and jewelry. The question is on. And your question is, the Indian gems and jewelry sector is considered as one of the leading contributors to the national economy. What will be the impact on reduction of custom duty in this sector? Kunjal Parekh, ma'am.
Thank you for your
question. I repeat the question in the meanwhile. The Indian gems and jewelry sector is considered to be one of the leading contributors to the national economy. What will be the impact of the reduction of custom duty in this sector?
So 6 to 7% of the GDP is contributed by this sector. It also employs more than 2.5 million workers. It's one of the fastest growing industries. It is very export oriented. Also, there is a simplified regulation in e-commerce for the export of the gem and jewelry to simplify this whole process. By June 2022, it is expected. Also, the custom duty has been reduced from 7.5% to 5% for cut and polished diamonds and gemstones. Also, in the swan diamonds will attract nil custom duty now. So this is to facilitate the export. Also, they have introduced an import duty on imitation jewelry. The custom duty on imitation jewelry is being prescribed in the manner at 400 per kg. This will allow no dumping of cheap and substandard, imitation jewelry in India. So this is my take on how it will impact, what the impact will be currently.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Gilbert, ma'am. So now we go to Shardul, sir. Your next question, Shardul, sir. What are the changes in disallowing expenses which are in contravention or violation of the law? Shardul, sir. Bypassing the law. What are the changes in disallowing expenses which are in contravention of the laws?
Sir, this finance bill of 2022, basically certain innocuous amendments or provisions have been brought about, and this is really very interesting, sir. So Section 37 of the Income Tax Act prohibits any business expenditure which is against any law. Now, what the finance bill, it goes miles further to clarify that this prohibited expenditure is a now disallowed expenditure, and it shall include or deemed to have always included payments for any offense, including compounding of offense or alive or dead law, be it prohibition in India or out of India. Sir, what was happening is a lot of these pharma companies were giving a lot of these freebies to their doctors, and also a lot of these pharma companies used to settle a lot of their contravention abroad, and these were running into billions of dollars. The cases were at various stages in tribunal as well as in high court have always said that these expenditures are allowable in nature, and there is no specific provision in the Income Tax Act to say that they are disallowable. So what the finance minister has now said, that it has made it very amply clear that the overseas, but what I'm trying to understand is how an overseas law the Indian government is trying to enact. So it is very difficult, because now we are even saying I have jurisdiction over the overseas law, which is contrary. So do we have as India as jurisdiction over a foreign law? So
this is what the question from the people was rather in the mind of the people, because the fines and penalties were already banned, or they were not given as a deduction. So what is this change? So this is the change that you are talking about. Thank you very much. Yeah,
correct.
Carry on,
absolutely
sir.
Correct. Absolutely correct. So this will be only tested by the judiciary in times to come, but it is definitely a very bold step. And an overseas law being contrary or prohibited at one point of time is not known, because the overseas law may change over a period of time, and what is not something which is right now not proper may become proper over a period of time. So even a compensatory interest payment due to simple breach of law might the expenditure may become disallowed going forward. The legislature certainly cannot sit on the armchair of the businessman to decide what is the validity of the spending, while one is trying to think of the various case laws. And to put, what they try to do is,
Yes, sir. There has been some glitch, I think. We'll wait for a minute. Yeah, Shardul sir will come back.
Shardul ji, please unmute.
No problem. I think, yeah, he'll come.
Yes, sir. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, okay. So with now small question, one extra question I can say. Any to you only, Shardul sir. Any change in tax laws for the charitable trusts?
Yes. So what this budget brings about is lots of changes are brought about in the budget to ensure. Sir, as you all know, the Income Tax Act provides two ways as exemption provision. One is under 1023C and one is under Section 11. So 11, 12 and 13, these are the exclusive provisions for charitable trusts. So the government...
And 12 double
Now they're bringing
And
at
12 double.
of them. So if a person wants to claim exemption under one of them, he cannot tinker with the other. So you can claim either section 12 benefits or under 1023C. So most of the changes in the charitable trusts are such that, in case you fail to spend the money in a certain period of time, then you will have to get the excess amount disallowed in the 5th year. So all charitable trusts can carry forward 15% of the expenditure which they have failed to spend during the year. And this 15% you can carry forward for a period of 6 years. Now the budget has brought about a proposed amendment that the disallowance as expenditure will happen in the 5th year itself. And lots of changes are there so that section 12 benefits and 1023 benefits are brought together, sir. And in case there is any expenditure which is again not towards the object of the trust, then the same will be also disallowed. If the trustees are also, if there is any personal expenditure, then the personal expenditure will also be taxed in the hands of the trustees. So these are all very positive amendments, and I think it is for the betterment of the public at large.
Yeah, it is positive for the citizens, but it is possible that trust people may be saying, of course, I am also part of some trust. So in fact, both of us are also trust, but trust people may be saying it is pinching them, or maybe it is little tightening the screws. But for the common citizens, it is definitely positive. Thank you very much. So all my questions, which I thought our representative questions from the citizens of India, especially the young ones, I have been asked by me, and they have been brilliantly answered. So thank you very much. You anyway are the king of your own fields. So I'm sure, I think most of the questions of the audience also, or participants also, are taken care, which is I think. But still, some questions will still be there. So now with that, we throw the house open for the questions from the participants. I request Prachi madam and Pratishtha madam to put both the questions from the chat box. But I request you to kindly summarize those questions because the time is short. So summarize the questions. If they are duplicated, filter them, and time we can save some time. So it's over to Prachi madam and Pratishtha madam for the question answer.
Is it Prachi Jain or Prachi Mane, sir?
Prachi Mane.
Okay,
Prachi Mane and Pratishtha Sharma.
Okay, sir. Pratishtha, you said, right?
Pratishtha Sharma and Prachi.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Prachi Mane, yes, I have unmuted her.
Yeah.
Shall I start? So, sir,
Yeah.
there is one question regarding cryptocurrency. So, they are saying that is it safe for crypto holders to keep holding their crypto, or is there any chance that it will get banned? And one more, that please share your thoughts on future of digital rupee that is to be issued by RBI. I think that second question is answered by you. So first question, they
Crypto.
Yes.
So that goes to Harshal Bhutta, sir. It is your area. See Harshal Bhutta. Crypto.
Yes. So I think I have even addressed the first part of the question. So, there is a risk that the government will bring in a legislation to ban crypto altogether. Nobody knows what is the probability and what is the percentage of the risk, because the government is still in consultation with a lot of stakeholders. The crypto ecosystem has burgeoned a lot. So a lot is at stake as of now, and only the future can tell, what is going to happen. But I would tend to believe that if at all private cryptos are banned by virtue of introduction of that bill and passing of the bill in both houses and also signed by the president, there should be a provision for grandfathering the existing crypto investments that are there. So, so as to provide an exit route to the citizens of this country to sell off their crypto.
Thank you.
So,
Next
Mr.
one.
Mehta would like to ask a question.
Okay. Yes, sir.
It was a great discussion and very well moderated by you, sir. And we had really good learning from all the speakers. But I have two comments and one suggestion. The two comments are that, as you all said, it is a good intention budget. But that good intention should translate into a very, very effective implementation. And that is where we are lagging. And so unless there is implementation, that intended effect will not be there. Second thing about fiscal deficit. In budget estimate, fiscal deficit are all about balancing the budget. So, I mean, it's like a reverse calculation. They arrive at a certain deficit figure, and then there are fillers in the budget like a disinvestment target. So if disinvestment target are put according to what they want as fiscal deficit. So if that is not achieved, then fiscal deficit will be disrupted. So these are two comments, and one suggestion is that on implementation, that like we have gathered today to discuss and analyze the budget, we should also come together in January or in December to talk about what was allocated and what was done in the budget. So that will give the clear view to all of us and to the students. So that was my suggestion. Thank you very much.
Perfect. So we'll be able to find out the variance between the budgeted ones and the actual ones. Perfect. And that the responsibility and accountability, what Chardul sir was talking about, that can be really valued and assessed. Thank you very much, sir. So thank you very much. Next one.
Thank you.
So next question is regarding disinvestment. So the question is, can we expect disinvestment of SBI in coming year? Will its disinvestment be similarly beneficial for the economy, taking into account its increasing NPAs?
Again, it is Harshal Bhuta. Disinvestment.
Yes, surely. So, there is no thought process in the government right now for, disinvestment or divestment of SBI per se. But I would tend to believe that, whenever PSUs are, privatized, and especially the ones that are listed, so SBI is anyway listed, there is a lot of, corporate governance improvement that takes place. There's a lot of spotlight on those organizations, which actually result in improving the efficiency. So so in my opinion, divestments are always for the positive. I think in the chat, I also read a follow-up comment. So will its disinvestment be beneficial for the economy, taking into account its increasing NPAs? See, irrespective of the performance of the company, divestment cannot decide whether a well profitable company should be divested or a loss-making company should be divested. There are various reasons, as we have seen in the case of Air India. Air India was also divested, and it was not a profit-making; it was a hugely loss-making company. So therefore, there are different considerations at play. So therefore, there is no one answer to this. The NPAs may increase and decrease depending on the economic situation. So because of the COVID situation, the NPAs have increased lately, but in the future, as the economic recovery takes place, the NPAs may again go down. So that can never be a factor to decide whether divestment should take place or not. Another factor that actually needs to be taken into account is that if one divests, so if the government divests, what about retaining the control over the PSU? So one, it can let go of the control. Second, it can actually also, retain control by, capping the FDI percentages also. So if you have, certain inhibitions that, what if I open up the company to public investors? What if the foreigners want to invest into it? What if certain sharks want to, so not sharks in the startup world, but what if some, companies with bad intentions want to take over the company? So therein, you
captains of industry.
Yes. So there you can always, regulate that by, opening up only to a certain percentage. So that is also a way to control.
Thank you very much. So, Prachi Madam, next one.
Thank you, sir. Yes, thank you, sir. So there is another question that is there any kind of tax reduction has been amended in this new budget policy introduced by Finance Minister?
Can you repeat the question, Madam?
Is there any tax deduction amended in this new budget policy?
Yeah, in fact, Shardul Bhai already discussed, but Shardul Bhai once again.
Yeah.
So there are no fresh new are available. Only this budget has ensured that a lot of the provisions are streamlined. So there is no new such thing, but only the clarifications were brought into the budget. And these amendments are only streamlining some of the positions which were not settled or what were not cleared earlier. So I don't think there are any new deductions which are now promised.
Yeah, thank you very much. In fact, the Pandora box is open, the plethora of questions. So of course, questions are really too many. So I think we will have to have 4-hour sessions sometime later. But few questions I think we can take, having regard to the time constraint. So Prachi Madam, can we have 2 more questions?
Sir, the questions are repetitive, so that one
Yeah,
question again have come regarding divestment only. So that why I
No.
would know. So
Sir,
I don't
I
want
will
to-
request you to go for certain which is new questions.
So there is no new question, I said, because only divestment and cryptocurrencies questions they are.
Oh, that's great. That means what I thought that questions which people have in their
All
mind
are
are already
covered.
covered.
Yes,
That's
sir.
great. And our speakers have really answered them very well.
So there was
So-
one question on EV,
Please.
if I can answer that.
Please.
How battery swapping will affect the EV automobile sector. So basically, as an example, you can take mobile phones, for instance. So you have a separate charger for iPhone and you have a separate one for Samsung and a different one for OnePlus, and so that's why all of them are making separate chargers.
Yeah, every variant of it. Every
Correct.
variant of it.
So with the electronic vehicles and the batteries requiring the charging and the entire infrastructure that will have to be set up to make sure that this charging stations are available for a longer period of time. The battery swapping will enable you to go to a place, give your battery which is not charged or running out of charge, and take another one which is fully charged and put it in your car and move ahead. So it's going to eventually end up saving time and a lot of infrastructure cost, and of course any kind of standardization will also help the industry on an overall basis. So yes, that's the answer to the EV and the batteries.
Yeah, people had this question in mind.
Yes.
It is government want to go for green, but then some constraints are coming in. The pace is slowing down. Thank you very much. But if we can expect positive thing in near future. Yeah, Prachi Madam, or Pratishtha Madam, any more questions which can be which deserves to be answered, like the new question type of?
So one new question come up, like, will the real estate sector boost in the upcoming year?
Real estate. Okay. Okay. Real estate. Astha Madam, would you like to answer it, or Kunjal? No, sorry, Astha Madam. Yeah. Or Shardul sir? Real estate.
So the answer is there is going to be a big boost as far as real estate is concerned, because capital expenditure, when we say the government of India is going to boost up the capital expenditure, a lot of capex goes also towards buildings and the real estate sector, because when you build up a lot of things, where are those construction workers also going to stay? Ultimately, when there is capex, I think it is a multiplier effect. In fact, the multiplier effect goes for 4 to 5 times. Minimum 4 to 5 times of the capital expenditure which is going to be spent. Just to give you some statistics, as far as the inventory is concerned of the real estate sector, the inventory is at the lowest level for real estate in the commercial as well as residential sector. In times to come, I think the real estate sector is going to do exceedingly well, not only because of the budget, but because the banks are slowly going to increase the lending towards this sector. Secondly, the RERA has played a very important role. RERA now is giving a lot of consumers the confidence to buy. Earlier, there was run-of-the-mill, kind of construction companies. Now, all these real estate companies are very well regulated, not only in case they are listed by SEBI, but in case they are not also, then RERA is a very important authority which regulates the real estate sector. So I feel personally, any kind of investment, even towards real estate that is for your own personal living, is very, very promising. And not only that, in case of stocks and all these real estate companies are going to do exceedingly well in times to come, because the NPAs are also the lowest and the income level of the people are also going to increase over a period of time.
Okay, thank you. That means, is it a time to buy now in the real?
It is always a good time to buy, only if you are going to stay in that house. The time to buy real estate as inventory or
as an investment, it is not.
No, it is not a good time to get into something that you will just keep houses, because the return of rent is very low. Compared to that, it will be better if you put it in mutual funds or if you put it in somewhere else. Because here that liquidity, it is not a liquid asset. How will you liquidate that? And if you see for Mumbai, the supply is going to increase because your entire BPT land is coming up. There is so much supply also happening at the lower parallel area, that as far as staying is concerned, it is always a good time to buy, but it is not a good time to get into a rental income style.
Correct. And one thing that because of this work from home, this space for offices is required now at a lesser quantum. So I think that also may be adding to this particular problem. Thank you very much, sir. So now, in fact, with that, Acha, any more question? Any more question? We can.
There is one more question that what are your views on the monetizing plan by the government? Will it provide a good quality service and how this will affect the cost?
Monetization of?
Monetizing plan by the government.
Monetizing plan. I think it should be Shardul sir. Yeah.
What the question talks about investment, and I think what the government of India is talking about monetizing the assets is by disinvestment, and it is already on the right track. For example, LIC is one of the right, because as
Harshal Bhuta sir, we also covered that.
Yeah, so it is already covered in the question, but the answer is disinvestment targets will easily be met. I think there will be far better disinvestments also coming because of LIC and various other disinvestments. The reason of disinvestment is bringing more corporate governance into structure, more knowing the value of the assets. Now we will come to know what is the value of the assets of LIC. It will bring a lot of good corporate governance, and in times to come, only LIC will become better. So I'm not saying it is a bad asset, but it is only going to increase the value of the assets such as of LIC and various other government assets. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think it is the end of the questions.
Sir. Yes,
okay,
sir.
thank
Most
you.
of the parts are covered.
Very good. Thank you very much, Prachi ma'am and Pratishtha ma'am. They were helping each other. Thank you very much. So now with that, we have come to the end of the question answer session also. So now the formal vote of thanks that IMC will like to propose, because from Jain's side we already have done our job. But at the same time, I from personal view, I thank everyone. And with that, now I request Ms. Sheetal Kadro ma'am, Deputy Director General of IMC, to please propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Santosh ji. A very good afternoon to each one of you. It is my pleasure to present the vote of thanks after all this enriching and very interesting analysis given by our very eminent speakers today. The last 2 years, as you all know, and we've obviously spoken about, has been extremely unpredictable, where we've witnessed the unimaginable surge of the pandemic, which has greatly affected people, businesses, consumers, education, healthcare, I mean, basically livelihood and all. And therefore, at this point, more than ever, a robust budget is what we need in India to get back on track towards growth, towards new opportunities, and making way for India's recovery, economic recovery. Let's be honest, I agree with what Sanjay ji said also. I mean, setting goals is pretty easy, but to achieve these long-term goals is what we need to stick to a very well-drawn out plan and stay focused on a clearly defined process. And that is why having a budget is so important, and that is why talks like these are so intriguing. I mean, today's talk was impactful. It gave us a wide perspective of the budget. And I hope, like me, all of you have taken and gained valuable insights from this session. I mean, what didn't we touch today? From taxation to health to crypto, digitalization. We spoke about Gift City, gem and jewelry, EV, and most important, Gati Shakti. I mean, we are looking at taking, India towards a very growth-oriented process. So without much ado, on behalf of the IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I would like to thank Dr. Ashok Wadia ji, Principal, Jai Hind College, for providing this wonderful opportunity to reach out to all of you. I also express our deep sense of gratitude to all our eminent speakers here. I mean, I had a fabulous afternoon. CA Asta Dohan, partner Enisha Associates, CA Harshal Bhuta, partner PR Bhuta, CA Kunjal Parekh, proprietor CA Parekh and Co, CA Shardul Shah, partner ME Shah and Co, and a special thanks to our moderator, CA Santosh ji, proprietor Santosh ji Garg and Co, and head of Department Accountancy, Jai Hind College, for gracing this occasion and sharing your valuable expertise. And I must thank all the participants for being so interactive, because I mean, asking incisive questions, drawing the best of
Madam,
the
there
session.
are 410 left till the end. 410.
I'm seeing that, sir. Thank you so much.
That is an overwhelming response.
To all the
from
students.
different colleges. It's not only Jai Hind College, but there are lots of other colleges.
That's great.
So thanks to all the colleges and their principals, faculties, and the students. Thank you.
Yes, I thank everybody present today. Your presence is a source of encouragement to us. And lastly, I would like to thank IMC team for this continuous support for making today's talk possible. Thank you once again for contributing to the success of this event, and look forward to another event, like Sanjay ji said, to talk more on this. And I'd also like to mention that we are coming up with our youth conclave soon. So to all the colleges and eminent speakers and dignitaries present today, we would be getting in touch with you all to look forward to a more interesting session from IMC. Thank you once again. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, madam. As we said in the beginning, this is just the beginning.
Yes, and absolutely, sir.
We'll go a long way. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Nice of yours. Thank you, madam.
Thank you for this lovely opportunity, and I'll let Anita ji take it.